the death of an American tourist on an island in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, an island where the North Sentinelese tribe actually resides. This is a tribe which has been completely isolationist. How did he get over there, and is there any ground to suggest that some of these tribes need to be reintegrated?
27-year-old John Allen Chow slipped past layers of Indian security and went and landed on the island of North Sentinel and met one of the most isolated tribes ever in the whole wide world. Apparently, he was carrying a Bible. Police say he was possibly shot dead by the Sentinelese with arrows on the 16th of November. The next day, fishermen who had smuggled John to the prohibited island for a sum of 25,000 rupees reported that they saw the tribals drag John's body onto the beach and bury it. 7 men, including the fishermen, have since been arrested for culpable homicide not amounting to murder and various violations of entering the prohibited zone.
It cannot be termed as any kind of security lapse. All these people, they illegally enter into a prohibited area. So it's a misplaced adventure in a prohibited area. It's an illegal act.
North Sentinel Island is completely prohibited area, and going there is like unbelievable. But here it happened. You can call it a security lapse, because almost 3 days they were these fishermen who carried John Allen were around the island.
But how could the Indian Navy, the Coast Guard and Andamans Marine Police fail to spot that fishing boat that was parked in the prohibited area near the North Sentinel Island for 3 whole nights and days? That is a question there are no answers to. John left a diary behind with the fishermen, who handed it over finally to the police. In that, the American youth has written that he wanted to take the word of Christ to the Aboriginals. Now, we don't even know how many of these Sentinelese are left on that island. Experts say anywhere between 500 to just 40, who must be kept isolated because contact with the outside world would mean death, as they have no immunity to disease. In Kolkata with G.D. Shankar, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.
Well, a little while earlier on, we spoke to Dipendra Pathak, the Director General of Police, and we began by asking him what the investigations actually had to say. What exactly happened, sir, in all of this?
Till the investigation till now is that yes, he was in some kind of preaching. He was also carrying Bible. So everything and the circumstances and all these nuances we are investigating upon.
And sir, in terms of recovering the body, is that at all possible?
Forest Department and all other, they have gone on ship to do a first-hand recce, and such that a strategy can be drawn in giving effect to the retrieval of the body, which is a professional requirement.
And sir, can you give us some sort of timeline by which you'd be able to complete your investigation into this very serious issue?
You see, at this point of time, keeping in view the sensitivity and keeping in view the character of this uncontacted group of people, any timeline cannot be given. But yes, we are working upon that.
All right, well, joining us now, one of the world's leading authorities on the tribes in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Sophie Grigg, joins us from the United Kingdom. Sophie, thanks very much for being with us. Apologies we couldn't come to you earlier. We've got breaking news coming in India. Also, Dennis Giles, a leading journalist in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, with us. Sophie, to you first. It's very unfortunate what has happened over here. How vulnerable is this particular tribe, and why is it important to protect the North Sentinelese and grant them the isolation that they've always believed in?
Well, they are incredibly vulnerable. We consider them to be the most isolated tribe in the world, which makes them probably one of the most vulnerable peoples on the planet. They'll have no immunity, or almost no immunity, to the sort of diseases that outside people will carry, such as measles or flu. And it's absolutely essential that their land is protected and no attempt is made to contact them. And, this sad situation is obviously terrible for the man and his family, but also could be potentially totally devastating for the Sentinelese who could still be wiped out by diseases he introduced when he arrived there.
And Sophie, isn't it a real concern that the body, it may be recovered? They're trying to recover the body. One can understand why they're doing that, but that process itself could be extremely harmful.
Extremely dangerous. And when in 2006 there were two fishermen that were their boats where they'd been mooring near North Sentinel Island, their boat got washed up and they were killed by the Sentinelese. And in that situation, the families said that there shouldn't be any effort to collect the bodies. The families recognised that the fishermen were wrong to have gone there, that they were endangering the lives of the Sentinelese. They shouldn't have been there. And they made it clear that they didn't think the bodies should be collected and they were left. And really, it's incredibly dangerous for the Sentinelese to have anyone go there, and dangerous also for anyone attempting to go and retrieve the body. So, it seems to me an unwise move to be doing that.
Dennis, can you tell us anything that you may have picked up on John Allen Chow, the American citizen who went across to the island? How did he get there? And was he an evangelist? What was he trying to do?
See, the thing is, the latest information which I gather from my sources is, this guy is a part of some missionary.
Okay.
And he was in touch with the Karen community. So if you remember, some time ago, there was a film on the Jarwa which was shot by a French journalist.
Yes.
So this particular journalist was assisted by the same people who are involved in missionary work, and they belong to the Karen community. So John Allen, he again, being a part of this particular affair, he was in touch with one of the pastors in Maya Bandar, so a member of the Karen community, and he somehow managed to make it to North Sentinel. My sources also add he had already visited that island on 13th, and then again on 14th he made another attempt, but the sources indicate that his body was seen half buried in the sand.
Sophie, at one level it's probably impossible to constantly ensure that the island is protected. And of course there are rules and people need to abide by the rules, but could the agencies realistically have done something to stop this? You're talking about one tiny boat in the Bay of Bengal getting across to this island. Something like this can always take place.
Well, it sounds like actually the boat was there and moored near North Sentinel for possibly up to 3 days, which really they should be monitoring much more closely than that. Another problem is that in June this year, the central government issued a circular to remove one of the levels of protection from North Sentinel Island. There used to be an increased level of protection with foreigners requiring a restricted access permit to go to many of the islands in the Andamans. And then in June, they suddenly announced that they were removing that from 29 named islands, including, astonishingly, North Sentinel. And so it is possible that this sort of lack of restriction, this removal of this restriction, created some sort of confusion in the mind of the American gentleman, which led him to think that he could go there. It's just that sort of dangerous ambiguity that we were campaigning against and calling, and many people were calling to have that order revoked. And so it's absolutely essential that it's totally unambiguous that no one can go there. This land is protected. The Sentinelese any attempt should be made to contact them. And it's really important that the Indian government not only makes that very clear in the legislation, but also polices the waters around the island properly.
Sophie and Dennis, I'd like to thank both of you very much for joining us. We're going to keep an eye out on this story. The importance of protecting this ancient tribe is something that we are bound to do. The law says that this needs to be done, and there are so few, perhaps even less than 100 Sentinelese who are still there on that island, and the situation which has arisen is something which could potentially be devastating. We're out of time. Thanks very much for being with us. Goodbye.